All right, y'all. Welcome back to Property Overwatch. We have some channel changes going on, and I'll explain that in a different video. But we will be continuing the Urban Combat Loadout video series as promised, and we'll have an upcoming theory video for that. And then you're going to see some supply transport loadouts, and then we'll do an Urban Combat Go to War loadout for the love of the game. And I love loadout videos, man. It is my geek. I think they're fun as fuck. For how silly they can be sometimes. But I wanted to show people this Beez Combat Aptum plate carrier because I don't see a lot of people talking about the benefits of Beez Combat, and I also don't see people talking about Swimmer's Cut style plate carriers that often. And so I just wanted to kind of go over mine and the thought process, and kind of some of the benefits you can get with Beez Combat. So this is their Aptum plate carrier in Swimmer's Cut, and I get all my plates in Swimmer's Cut, no matter the carrier. Like I have T-Rex AC1 with essentially the Armored Republic A2 plate, which is like a Swimmer's Cut style thing in them. And, so you get the a little bit of trade-off there, right? So not quite as much coverage. You're going to get this kind of cut. And I just think it's wise. I really do. I think that like you just want your vitals protected. If you are trying to be agile, mobile, hopping in and out of vehicles, things that I would do in a prepared citizen role. I just kind of want my vitals covered there, and you can save a lot of weight. So that was kind of the idea. And so I started before looking for this plate carrier. I started with what plates do I even want to wear and why. And so I found Scorpion Tactical level 3 plus. They call it the Extreme plate in Swimmer's Cut. They were one of the few manufacturers I found. It's a polyethylene blend, and so I have them in there with a plate backer to help absorb some shock. But it's you're going to be on your ass if you if you get hit in a polyethylene plate. That's why I do. I am an advocate of steel plates. But regardless, for this one, we're going with 4-pound plates that stop up to M855A1, going 3,300 feet per second for like, I don't know, after the coupon codes and stuff, you can find, I don't know, like $190 a pop. So that's pretty freaking sweet. Plenty of people out there showing you Scorpion Tactical Extreme plates that stop everything they say they're going to stop. So I started there, and then I was looking for manufacturers that did Swimmer's Cut style plate carriers, and not many do. And Beez Combat is somebody who I had tried in the past for some pouches and some random things, and so I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot, because they give you lots of options. There's like, probably 9 or 10 different options for cummerbund styles and plate bag sizes and all that. So, I started with the plates and then decided to go with Scorpion Tactical. And so here it is, the Aptum plate carrier in Swimmer's Cut. And so, I did opt for the pads, obviously, and, got them front and back. And, man, I bought a lot of stuff from them. I worked hard, man. I work like 90 to 120 hours a week. So if I was going to treat myself to a new plate carrier setup, man, I bought a suite of pouches. Who says that? It's so gay. Spiritus. They're like, here's our suite of pouches. Man, I bought my own suite of pouches from Beez Combat, and I'll go over all the different, pouches and options with Beez Combat in a different video. But this is kind of mainly going to be the setup now. I've showed you before in past videos that might have since been deleted, but I've shown you on my weak side here. I will be putting back on my little holder here for a sledge, a mini sledge. It's like a 4-pound sledge that you can wield two-handed. And what's cool is, if I'm thinking about use cases, right? If I had to go rescue a loved one in some city somewhere that had gone to hell or something like that, or they were ever holed up somewhere, or I ever had to clear, a building or something like that, a 4-pound sledge that you can wield two-handed is going to be really handy to pop open any interior shitty doors and stuff like that. Just whack open any interior doors and crappy American homes and stuff like that. And then also to break glass if you ever wanted to toss OC grenades inside, to stop your enemy's ability to see and to fucking function. I don't think that's the dumbest idea. I've shown you in previous loadouts, how I did that. And then what I do is I'm going to run this K-bar fighter behind it. And you'll see how that gets set up for the upcoming loadouts. I took it off and redoing some things, but, I use zip ties and it kind of slides in, behind there. This is just a straight up, hammer holder from the hardware shop, right? I just did, what is it, Neat's foot oil. To stop the cracking of the grain of leather. It kind of darkened that leather there, so the leather holds up a little bit better. And that's it, man. It holds a 4-pound sledge. It doesn't come down very far either. That 4-pound sledge, you can wield two-handed, but it's not very long, and that'll give you the capability to do a variety of things. And then the K-bar fighter obviously is a great tertiary weapon, but what's nice is that's mainly to help pry open shitty doors and stuff, right? So that's not carrying an extra shotgun around in for these upcoming scenarios that we're going to talk about. So there's your key to the city, so to speak. At least for getting open interior shitty doors, it could help you out. Maybe even some really shitty deadbolts and stuff like that. I have fucked around before, and like it is doable. So that's the idea for that side. Everyone's going to talk about how they want to keep their strong side slick to to draw a pistol. And yeah, like if your pistol is like your oh shit malfunction or transition like kind of thing, like sure, but that's not the goal here. And so I've talked about, in the past how, when it comes to pistols in a plate carrier and stuff, like it's not my like, oh shit, malfunction thing. Like I want it there as a tool. If I need to climb through a window, if I need to move a big heavy ass tote like this to, one-handed with a buddy, I can have a pistol, my rifle slung. I can, drag a buddy behind a car, climb through a window, like, things like that. And if I have to bend over a little bit to retrieve, that pistol, I'm no longer doing, what is it? The, um, holsters that like stick out really far. Like I like things flush. I don't like the Safariland mid drops, the QLSs, all that kind of stuff. I'm not doing anymore. I want things high and tight, and if I have to kind of bend over to retrieve that, it's not a big deal for me. So this side, obviously, I have some shit on, and I'll show you what it looks like on me. But this cannot be reached. This is a knockoff, like an Amazon knockoff of a Spiritus pouch, I believe. And I forget what they call it. But this would just be to, like, instead of having a back panel, to just have extra shit, this would be that for me that I cannot reach on my own. And you can obviously fit, plenty of shit. It's like a GP pouch. Like if you had to bring like food with you or bottles of water or anything like that, a D60 drum or, just anything like that, you could fit in there. And obviously most of the time would just be left empty. But more importantly, I wanted the ability to fit a large radio that if somebody you got to think about shit hits the fan kind of world, right? If you're sailing under the banner of the next biggest fish, some warlord out there or whatever the fuck, you're just teaming up with some broskies that you don't know for some reason or whatever the case may be. If you get handed a some fancy big ass radio, like at least you have the ability to put that in there, and that's the goal with that pouch. I think who is a Spiritus that makes the Spud pouch. Beez Combat has their own kind of version of that, and that's this here. And it's basically all these manufacturers do this, right? It's a pouch that you can fit 3 magazines in either direction. And so typically I would put like 2 mags in there, or like a large Gatorade bottle fits in there as well. One thing I did forget that was kind of important to me for this pouch is, if I was running just a red dot or a red dot and magnifier on the carbine, this pouch actually does fit this thermal scope. So this is an AGM Rattler TS35 that fits in there very nicely. And if I wanted to, just a spot to have that and pull it out and utilize it as a monocular, or to put on the rifle, I could keep that right there. That's the other thing with pouches like these. Just options, right? If you want water, if you want to put nods in there or whatever, thermal optics, you have the ability to do that. To me, like a plate bag is a plate bag. With it, like it's either you want it slick like the AC one, or you have a setup that can accommodate much heavier shit, and that's what we're looking at here. And so these are decent plate bags. What was important to me was I wanted Velcro, right? So it attaches with Velcro in the back and the tubes up front. I do like that idea. This is my first time using tubes. The placard that I chose to go with is Arbor Arms. I forget what they call it. It's got some silly name, but I decided to go with that placard because I wanted the ability to go from 3 to 6. And I've changed this up big time, so from how it's designed to be. So Arbor Arms does offer this, flat zippered pouch. I just went with it in a different color. I just went with gray so that like when you're looking down at it, it's easy to see and differentiate from all the shit in front of you. You can see the pouch. You can fuck with it. This is a great spot to put maps or protractors. But for me, I like this to stuff like extra anchor cylindrical batteries that I use for this that can attach to my rifle and another scope mount. So I use shit like that in there, when I've fucked around with this. But that is kind of nice just to have like a zippered pouch back there. And I think it is designed to go behind it. This placard is not designed to have these in there. This is an insert that I just did on my own. Because what's cool is, with the Arbor Arms, which, there's a trade-off for everything, right? So some people might not like this, but it's designed to attach there in front and not in the back. So you'll see it when it's on. This all gets pulled tight, and it's nice and snug. And so this all this kind of excess is tightened, and you can put extra mags in here, right? So I have fucked around a lot with, putting a magazine in there, and then, whether you remove 1 mag, 2 mag, or 3 mags, it all will stay nice and snug. You could just stuff tourniquets or whatever in there. But that shit gets heavy. I will be the first to admit that fucking around with this fully loaded up with like 6 mags in here is not ideal, and I think more of like belt kit style shit is better for carrying lots of magazines. But you have the option to throw more here, throw more there. This is a Beez Combat cell phone pouch that fits like an iPhone style thing really nicely, and I did fuck around with that in the past with community response kits that I've trained in. But I like this cell phone pouch right here, especially for community response reasons where you might be writing down people's cell phone numbers that you just met. You might be writing down license plates of vehicles that belong in that neighborhood, all kinds of stuff. A dedicated spot to have a small right in the rain, with a marker. I actually was able to fit like a smaller iPhone, the right in the rain, and some markers in there, and it all fit. But here you can see you could stick like a regular, it's a EDC Nightcore flashlight. It's a UHI, and that fits in there. But this is just a nice pouch, because when your rifle is slung and in front of you and down, it's going to be like here, right? So I like keeping this clear. I do like the Arbor Arms placard here. I do like the buckles and not the G hooks, and yeah, that's kind of like the idea with this. And just to give you options. Now a lot of people are going to run the Blue Force Gear triple elastic, and I'll go over this in a different video. Blue Force Gear has fucking failed me. So this is really one of their few products, besides my Vickers padded sling for the carbine. This is one of the few products that has actually held up. Like, I understand there, like there you can see like elastic poking through. This is a double pistol mag pouch, and these get a little jacked up. That's normal, right? This is the one thing that's held up. I have another one of these that the stitching came completely undone in the middle from just like fucking around on the range. Like, that's all I do. And some like little IMTs in the woods sometimes, like they just don't hold up. And so I know a lot of people do that. I wanted something just more rigid, and so for that extra ammo, and that is the goal there. So the little juggernaut spot here, this is some cheap Amazon one that I went with. I did have the one Tigris little cell phone holder up here, and that just kept popping out. It kept sliding out of the molly spot. So I went with something that was actually mollied in there. And the main reason for this is so that, if I'm driving and, like I said, we're going to rescue a loved one, you have no idea where the fuck you are. You can, have your cell phone here and have the GPS going right in front of you and still look up and have that situational awareness. You're not holding on to a phone when you have a goddamn rifle in your hands. That is the main reason for that. When you're driving, you don't have the phone hooked up to the vehicle with a cord in case you have to hop out of that vehicle really quickly. That is the goal. And of course, everyone's going to be like, don't have cell phones in war, and like, no shit. Depending on what is going on, I think it's wise to have the ability to find alternative routes home. That is the main goal with this. And if you really play out these situations in your mind and really think about it, you will come to the same conclusions that, like, I'm not worried about like somebody, finding, like, the government tracking me. Have dark bags if you're worried about it. But I think you should have a dedicated spot where you can view a GPS. But we'll wrap up the front. So I typically like things as slick as possible, but when you start getting into this kind of weight, and we really loaded this up for like a go to war situation, I did get the Beez combat matching shoulder pads, and ATAX IX, like, like all my pouches and stuff, and man, they just weren't doing it. So something structural is really going to help you out, whether you're going with a structural cummerbund or the shoulder pads. You need something structural. The actual structural shoulder pads are awesome. I did actually have them backwards for a while because I thought it was giving me, depending on like how you size your shoulder pads, utilizing them backwards where this is in the front can give you more real estate for your buttstock here. But ultimately, I turned them around and kind of resized things to fit me more comfortably. And so forward facing, they're working fine. I just have some Ranger bands there to help route comms and a hydration bladder if necessary. And yeah, we will finish up the front here. So this is the Beez Combat. I forget if they call it the short or the small dangler, but definitely a great spot to put tools, mission essential gear, stuff like that. A staple for me in all kinds of pouches like this is going to be a little Night Eyes, typically that I'll stick like a handcuff key on, or Just extra Safari Lands Ear Pro is always wise just to kind of have in there. I do like these shorter danglers. They're not getting in the way of your reloads or anything like that. Behind it, this is a pouch. It's a 40 millimeter pouch that's I just tapped on recently and or tacked on recently, and this is a great spot to fit the like small fox OC grenades. So you could put like a bunch of them in there if you were going, hardcore with the gas mask. And you have your gas mask pouch on your thigh and shit like that. Just to have, and you're clearing like a building and you want to eliminate your enemy's ability to see and to function, to have extra small ones to throw into small spaces like small rooms, before entering and stuff like that, might not be the dumbest idea in the world, but also, in combination with a thermal scope, the smaller smoke grenades are really handy, and they fit in there perfectly too. So if you were going to try to put up like a really large smoke screen for yourself, and try to get it where your enemy is having a hard time seeing you but you can see them, then having those smaller Enola Gay, more cylindrical smoke grenades under here is an option as well. But I think it's called Fox Labs. Here they are. I got one laying around. These, it's a little OC grenade that you click, and it's like an aerosol style thing. If you got your gas mask on and you're clearing a whole bunch of small spaces and maybe looking for a loved one or whatever the fuck, and you don't want to just shoot through walls, right? In Minecraft, first shit hits the fan, then, they're really handy. And yeah, your loved one might have a fucked up day, but hey, it's better than frag grenading your loved one. Just options, right? I like this behind there. And then this is a spot for a tourniquet. Obviously, I think it's wise to always have something you can grab quickly to cover your face, or to wipe down a lens, just, because I'll tell you what, when you have your gas mask on in combination with like a tube, I have like an MVG 50 thing I'm fucking around with. When your situational awareness gets diminished, there's no time to get cute and shove shit in places that you can't access them. If your lens is fogged up or whatever, you need to be able to have something in front of you that you can wipe that down with quickly. But yeah, that is basically the front setup, and maybe I'll do a little spin around for you with it on, but let's go over the back. So I am not a big fan or advocate of back panels, like unless you're like SWAT, where you need like some crazy bolt cutters or some ridiculous. I think back panels are kind of silly. I know airsoft teams, may actually like, utilize them where you actually have buddies that are grabbing shit off of your back. I don't think that's really necessary. In the real world, I want to be able to drive myself somewhere and make shit happen. And so I like this flat. The only thing I have on here is a Beez Combat Hydration Bladder, which is a very nice one, by the way. And I have that mollied on there, and they give you options to mount more shit if you want, but I would just stick like an MSR hydration bladder in there. That's the only one that hasn't leaked. The Amazon ones aren't that much cheaper, man. I've gotten Amazon ones, I've gotten other fancy brand name ones. The MSR hydration bladder is the only one that has not leaked. The hose is nice. I have like a 2 liter one that I've shoved in here before, and that would be the reason for that if I chose to do it, and that's as much as I would want on the back. But yeah, what's nice is if you're just driving to the next county over to help out a family member or something dangerous and shit hits the fan, checking on your elderly parents, whatever the fuck, things are dangerous, you're going over, you don't give a fuck, Gatorade bottle, and just keep this flat without a hydration bladder is probably the way to go. But yeah, Beez Combat does a nice job, man. Like I have had some smoke grenade pouches and stuff from them that haven't really worked out, or they've worked out, but they just like the stitching wasn't like great, so like it's all custom work. So here's the other thing is, if you're going to order yourself some nice shit like this, right? Like get in the camouflage pattern you want. You know what I mean? Like everyone's gonna like get multicam because that's the only camo pattern that is being offered to you from these fancy manufacturers. Like, you might wait like a couple weeks from Beez Combat to make this for you, but get it in the one you want. I wanted something that was very urban looking. I'm not gonna be facing off against the pure threat out in the woods, likely in the scenarios that I can come up with. So, if you are going to try to blend into your environment as much as possible, get the camouflage patterns and the colors that you want. And this shit's expensive, so tan is a color that we likely see in suburban areas, urban areas. Mainly this, lighter colored tan here is what you're going to see. Sidewalks, medians, the outsides of buildings, are all like that color. And what's cool with ATAX IX is, they have some of this darker green. They were trying to do like a multicam idea to blend into multiple terrains. But what's cool is this is very grayish, right? And I like that. I think it blends into urban areas really well. And urban camouflage really isn't that deep, man. Movement is what is going to get you seen, unless you're doing something crazy like a trash ghillie suit or something. But if you were against the building somewhere, trying to blend into your environment, you don't want to be wearing black, you don't want to be wearing something crazy. So you don't want to have your neon pink fucking hoodie. I think I tried to make it look cool as shit too. And I picked a couple solid colors like wolf gray and coyote brown here. And just made everything else ATAX IX where I could get it, and I think it looks pretty fucking sick. Nothing wrong with trying to make a vibe for yourself, and what else? Yeah, that's about it, y'all. The side plates are the same thing, same company, Scorpion Tactical extreme plates. And so when you get into the polyethylene land, that's very light. Like, these are super lightweight, man. Like, the weight is like negligible with these side plates. It's very thick, so that's the one trade-off, is that these are extremely thick. But yeah, I'll give you a little spin with the plate carrier on. All right, and so as you can see, it's nice and tight, right? And I like that. I like the tubes. The side plates, you can see, are pushed mostly to the front there, but you can kind of see the coverage that you get. It's technically a 10 by 12 plate, but you can see the swimmer's cut style coverage there. And one of the things that is important to me is that when you're in the sling, right, that you don't have shit ripping up here. And so what's nice is the hammer holder and the knife, you can see that it doesn't really get caught on that, because typically on other rigs, I like to have a radio pouch like in front of me. It's so convenient. Like, this is a Beez Combat radio pouch that is one that can accommodate, like, this is my favorite, just Midland GMRS, man. This is what we use around the farm, really long distances, actually, inside of a stone building and shit. Like, this does really well. And also for UV5Rs that fit inside this too. I forget if this is the small or the medium that Beez Combat does, but I like to have these like right here, man, where you can fold down, you can see it, you can fuck with it, and change it up or turn it off if need be, right? And I usually just utilize like the cord that comes with it, with the earpiece, and rest it over in-ears, over my ear pro. Like, sometimes you got to embrace your jank, man. But this is just something that, it's like, the more I fuck around in my shit, I don't want that stuff, like the sling, getting caught on shit like that. So this is designed to hop in and out of vehicles, be as slick as possible. If I had to incorporate a radio, potentially I'd run it back here. But yeah, I also in the past have done, you may have seen on some of my older videos, I like to have, this is a multi-tool, Beez Combat multi-tool pouch, and I'll show you all the different pouches that I've gotten from them. I like to, this is a Nevo headlamp, and you run it upside down, and you can angle it, right? That's something that's very handy to have right here. And I just don't want this getting caught on anything like that, right? The hammer holder, where I can, access that mini sledge, and the knife, it's nice and slick, which you'll see in the upcoming loadouts. But yeah, that's the goal, is you want this space, to be clear here, and you want this space or this sling not to be getting caught on shit. But ultimately, hopefully, if you're fighting, you'll have the ability to swim out of your sling there. The other benefit with swimmer's cut style plates is, because people are going to train you to put the buttstock, up here, right? And cool, right? To each their own. What's nice is you have this real estate here. So, if I'm not in nods or a gas mask or anything like that, I have this position here. You have more real estate for that buttstock, which is kind of cool, in my opinion. But yeah, I feel like that's about it. Oh, I also wanted to mention this cell phone pouch from Beez. Like I said, for me, probably be a notepad and a marker, but this actually does fit a 30 round mag and a 20. So for you like designated marksmen out there, that's a perfect spot to put another 20 rounder that's covered there. So this is not bad, right? Like, this is able to go in the prone, and that's the main reason I was kind of reworking this plate carrier, is that I wanted, because most people are going to tell you, like, this back plate is too low. They're going to tell you that needs to be raised up. I'm 6'4", almost. So, like, somebody trying to hit center mass on me, is going to be hitting a little lower in general. But the back plate, I'm not so concerned about that. This really should be, high and tight up here, right? Like I have it. But the back plate, comfort is a big deal. So if this was properly up higher, you would notice how it's going to angle funny on my back, and it's not that deep to me, right? If I'm in E&E mode or whatever, take around, man, it's what it is. But I'd rather be able to breathe and function and have this sit, like it's a curved plate, right? So it should sit properly on your back. I see plenty of professionals do it this way, where it is a little bit lower. Somebody might be able to get my lung up there, but maybe, it's a crapshoot, man. That's why I like swimmer's cut plates, is because like firefights are a goddamn crapshoot, right? Like you're gonna get hit in the balls, you're gonna get hit in the groin, in the dome, in the face, in the limbs, in the stomach, long before you're taking like multiple hits right in this area, right? So even if shit hits the fan, gray areas, hospitals still may be up and running. So it's not the dumbest idea in the world to have your vitals covered here. Have your heart and the majority of your lungs covered here. It's as good as we're going to get for prepared citizens, man. I don't think it's dumb. And also, I do like having these side plates pushed forward. So that's the other thing when you start looking into placards like this that are going to attach to the front and pull back, is you may need to get longer cummerbunds. I want this cummerbund. I wanted to make sure I had elastic, right? So I can breathe, right? And also make it nice and tight. But it's gonna poke out farther up here, right? It's not gonna be as closer to your body as if this was sitting in here attached to the back. So you got to keep that in mind. But I do like this. It still will pull it back and retain things when I start removing mags and practice reloading off the rack. But yeah, I like these 40 millimeters back here, and I fucked around with putting the Enola Gaze in there and the Fox OC grenades, and you can just have a shit ton of them and utilize that for a variety of purposes. But yeah, I think if you're going to spend money and treat yourself, man, get in the camouflage pattern you want. I think that the ATEX IX is pretty sick looking, alternating with the gray and coyote tan. Let me know what you think, you kit nerds. And yeah, this is something that I can't really reach and access, but that would just be extra cargo, man. If I had to shove food in there or whatever. And you will see this implemented in some of the upcoming loadouts. So this is the Aptum by Beez Combat Swimmer's Cut. If you were curious, I would love to know what y'all think. Have a great day, y'all.